I've just thought I've not had any thoughts on how we actually want to introduce this.
Nor have I. All of a sudden, I'm sat here going, how are we going to introduce our very first podcast?
Hello.
Hello.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again. Thank you very much, everyone, joining us for our third episode.
Where we started. I've forgotten how we start.
So, episode 5.
Episode 5, welcome.
Thank you for joining us for episode 6.
Welcome to episode, what number are we on now?
I think we're going into episode 7.
Welcome to episode 8.
Welcome, everyone, to our podcast.
Hello,
Okay.
welcome back.
Hi.
Hi, hello. Welcome to the next episode of the Fostering Southwest podcast.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Hi everyone, welcome to the 13th episode of the Fostering Southwest podcast. Amazing, thank you for joining again for the Fostering Southwest podcast. So welcome to the Fostering Southwest podcast. We have checked this time, and this is episode 16? 16.
Would you say fostering has changed you in any way?
Oh yeah, loads. Loads. As I said, my old life was I'd call it very masculine, working in factories, working on building sites. The biggest concern in my life at the moment is the friendship drama of a teenage girl that I'm looking after. Do you know what I mean? It completely changed me. I'm a lot more resilient, I think. Fostering helps you find some depths you might not know that you had.
How have you found fostering fitted into sort of your previous daily routines and what's that souffle looking like now?
When we first started and we were approved and these children were going to come to our house, as I said earlier, my wife and I don't have our own natural born children, so it was chaos, right? I mean, we hit the ground running, going, oh my God, where's the PE kit? We haven't got a lunchbox. What school do you go to? It was... And that's the point. We had a lot of support that was really good. Balance of life's really important, definitely. So I'm no longer a carpenter. I still do it sometimes if I want. If you're a foster carer for your local authority, you'll be self-employed. And that balance is, I find it, I don't know how I'm going to put this. I find it nice, right? Yeah. The balance of life. In terms of these teenagers, they go to school, so I get some time off in the day to myself, and then they're home at night, and you can imagine what a pair of teenage girls is like, friendship dramas, like schoolwork's like all over the place, there might be clubs we're going to, nails being painted. I've had my nails painted many times, many times. I think there's some recruitment photos actually of me with nails painted. So my balance at the moment is I have a very relaxed day and sometimes some very busy evenings. But you have to maintain it. You have to look after yourself, first and foremost. And if you as a foster carer are okay and you're looking after yourself, and I do mean you're having the hot bubbly bath with the candles, going on spa days, getting out for a morning golf if you want to, those really important physical things to look after yourself. If you're okay, you're gonna look after the kids better,
As a hub home carer for a Mockingbird constellation, how would you describe it?
For me, as a hub carer, it feels it's a family-based model to start with. And I think Lynn and I see ourselves as sort of grandparents. Lynn says really young auntie and uncle.
Yeah, I use the term auntie and uncle
the
for
fun
people.
auntie and uncle.
I've used that sort of line every time we've spoken about Mockingbird. But basically, it's like a grandparent. So... and that's how our home is called a hub inside of the Mockingbird world. But basically, it's a safe place for a number of children and a number of families to use. So this is one of the children's hands, and it was different information. So I'm going to see the carer. It's okay to feel like this. So it's an emotional hand. Yeah. And so what we get the children to do is to draw around their hands often when they come back from school, and then we'll have 4 positive things that they've done at school.
Oh, nice.
And maybe 1 thing that they've had a challenge. Yeah. And if you do that every day, then you can build up quite quickly a picture of how your child's feeling.
Yeah.
We do that. And this one, this is a young man who's in the one of the constellations. These are his own hands, and he coloured them in for me. And then he touched my heart by writing something very relevant at the top for me. And he wrote safe, and that's how Mockingbird makes him feel. And that's such an important part of how Lynn and I want the children to feel about being in care and about being in my home and about being with my family. I definitely want them to feel safe. So, that's a really big part of what we do.
And that was something really quite significant for this young person as well, being able to write that.
Absolutely.
And it meant quite a lot to you hearing that from them, didn't it?
It's another golden nugget.
Yeah.
And there are so many, and every child brings them to the hub.
Yeah.
And so, it's but that particular picture will stay with us forever, I assure you.
So maybe you could start by just telling us a little bit about your role, because it's really varied and you've got two different parts to your role.
It is, yeah. So I really like my role. So I am a supervising social worker. So I do everything a supervising social worker does, but with a small team of foster carers. And then I've got the advanced practitioner bit where I do lots of other bits and pieces, which is like the fun stuff.
Yeah.
So the events, the ambassadors, managing the ambassadors, family support workers, celebration evenings, all of that sort of stuff. So it's really exciting. And then you bring it all together and we have an amazing support package for our foster carers. So the pieces of advice I would give would be to those ones that are new. Yeah. You can't do it alone. You really do need to build a relationship, a network. Like I said earlier, it takes a village to raise a child.
And everyone's village will look different, but there's a village around every family and around every child.
I can't imagine in the near future, when I talk about retirement, I'm thinking of giving up teaching rather than giving up giving up fostering, because I love it. As I said before, it satisfies a need in me, and whilst there are young people out there who need me, then I'm out there to be there for them.
Yeah, I think well clarified. In Gloucestershire would be on the phone otherwise. They'd be fierce. Yeah, don't worry, guys.
Oh, they know.
It's safe. Yeah.
So what would you kind of say to anybody that's considering fostering?
Do it. Try it. Yes. Yeah. You can make such a difference. And that feeling that you are making a difference to these young people's lives is so important, and you won't know whether you can foster unless you try it. So, get out there, find out about it, start on that journey of becoming a foster carer and see if it's for you. Yeah. And, I didn't know that, 14 years later I would still be doing this. But I love it, and I can't imagine my life without it.
So all of our information that we share is aimed at people who we want to become foster carers. Is there any information she can build aimed at the children in those families?
I've got something.
You've already done this, haven't you?
No, I've got something we can share with you.
Yes, we do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Gloucestershire's Kids with Kids campaign is honestly, they presented it to us, I think, back end of last year. Yeah. And I think as a region, that's something we're looking at really sort of getting involved and supporting for that exact reason, because it is so important, and it's actually a bit of a missed market of support. People forget it's a fostering household. It's not a fostering person. Yeah. There's so much to
foster as a family, don't you? Yeah. Whatever your family looks like, you foster as a family. Grandparents are involved, aren't they, if they're around?
Exactly.
Yeah. Next door neighbours are involved.
Yeah. Best friends.
Pets are involved.
Pets, definitely. Yeah, definitely. But it was such a really lovely piece of work.
It is,
And as a region, that's sort of one of the projects we're looking to get involved and support. And actually, how can we take that further? Because I know for Gloucestershire, they've seen massive success from it. And they've said that actually the kids have loved getting involved in it and taking part. Yeah. And it's so important to offer things like that to everyone.
We'll speak to Gloucestershire, get permission, and see if we can share it with you, and I'll get it sent over to you, Katie.
Karen, if you're watching, you know the conversation's coming. So prepare yourself. Yeah.
We're attracting a younger group of people, people in their 20s and 30s, which we've not really had before. So there's something about the way that we're marketing and the way the messaging is coming across and the channels that we're using that we've never had the option to try before. That means that we're attracting younger people, and I think that's really brilliant, because absolutely, our foster carers from all ages have something to offer, but our younger foster carers, we know that they will likely stay with us and foster for a long, long time. Yeah. So that's brilliant, because they'll just keep increasing in skill and knowledge, and the children that perhaps can stay with them can stay for longer time periods if that works for them. So although we want foster carers from all ages, there's no upper ages that are fostering, as I often say to people when they meet me and say, no, not for me, not for me, duck, they say in the middle, it's not for me, duck. And I say, no, there's no upper age for fostering. But the fact that we can get younger people now, attract younger people now as well, is really brilliant. And it brings something fresh as well, doesn't it, into your fostering community.
I think we're quite proud to talk about the training that
Yeah.
we deliver as well. So South Gloss is a fairly small local authority, but we've got some really amazing, wonderful foster carers who support children, and I suppose we want to do what we can to support them.
Come in 2.5 years ago, and I just found all my colleagues really bright. It was like really bright people trying to pull the same direction. And obviously there's dynamics. There's always, isn't there? Every team, isn't there? But yeah, so that, from that respect, it was really impressive, really. And then kind of interacting with the foster carers, again, just a really good bunch of people putting the best foot forward. So it's nice to be part of that, really.
You're all there for the same reason.
Yeah.
You know, everybody who's in kind of working and fostering, looking after children, we're all there for the children. So how we do that might look different, but you know, we all need that help and support in different ways. And the things that you're doing with your kind of your curry nights and wreath making, it's breaking down some of that isolation, I guess, that sometimes foster carers can feel. So then you need those connections, and I think helping people come together that might have similar interests and spend that time together is really important.
We've come into the world to live, and you know, if you're in care, you know, you've had lots of different experiences, but they're obviously being care, they're never positive, aren't they? So I think we all deserve a loving family, and that doesn't stop when you get to 13, when you become a teenager. And I always find it really funny when people say, so I understand there's lots of concerns about fostering teenagers, but if you do, and obviously with Mockingbird, and if you wanted to join the Mockingbird Hub, you know, with the support, you can say to not members, but like the people that are in the group saying, I'm really struggling with this. You've got that support, so you know that fostering teenagers, I feel like everyone gets scared. Well, we're not scary. No. I feel like I'm quite nice.
You are.
Good dinosaur.
I'm a good dinosaur. So when I was younger, I think because I wasn't able to verbalise things, I would define things as like people were good dinosaurs or bad dinosaurs. That was my thing, and how I sort of judged people. And so that's what I did. And like I would always say like, oh, this happened because the good dinosaur was asleep, so the bad dinosaur could hurt people, you know what I mean? So that's how I would deal with everything. So then as I got older, when I went to live with Lynn and Pete, after a while, I wasn't able to verbalise and say like, oh, I really like you, thank you for looking after me, thank you for making part of the family. I'd just say, you're a good dinosaur.
Yeah.
And that's really
Love
positive.
that.
Like if you get called a good dinosaur, then that's great. And I don't really say that as much now, but the dinosaur and Arlo, and at the start, you know, I wouldn't come out my room and I wouldn't want to eat anything, and like Lynn would, like, it's so funny, Lynn would like post like chocolate under my door so I'd eat something, and then
Must have been really scary.
yeah,
like,
I was
to start with.
so scared. I would come out my room, and I was, you know, really scared because it was just completely different to what I was used to. And obviously I knew it was for the best, but I knew I knew Pete and Lynn were different from the start, you know, I just felt it, but I didn't want to connect to them because I couldn't, you know, and it took me, I think for the first, I'm now quite a hugger. I love a hug. But I think it took 6 months for me to give a hug, like, you know, and that was a really nice moment. But
It wasn't something you were used to.
no, and it was such a shock. I was like, well, why are you being nice to me? But I think it's important that, you know, as a coach person, you take everything, you take every opportunity, and you try and remember why you're doing it, and just think that, you know, you don't have to be what you came from. You can be someone new, and, you know, these people want you and they love you, and don't push them away. But obviously the thing is, that's a good thing. If you push them away and they don't come, that means they want you, and that's what you're testing for, really. But yeah, just to remember that, you know, you can have a great life. You know, you've just got to stick with it, work hard, and just use everything around you.
Last year we went to Egypt. I'll take him anywhere now.
And he's got so independent. Like you were telling me, he was just loving life on the cruise. He was doing so much by himself as well.
Yeah, he was. He was like, Jenny, can I have some independent time? It was brilliant because we were safe on a ship.
Yeah.
So where we were in Bulgaria, we were in a hotel, and even that was phenomenal. And I found myself getting emotional because he joined in water polo and he shook hands with people at the end of it. And I'm like, he can't stand touch. And I'm like, wow, he doesn't socialise with other children, and he's got involved, and that was just wonderful. So we'd always make sure we're back from our day out just so he could play water polo every day. But he couldn't have that much independence because it wasn't safe to do so. But on a ship, he can't go anywhere. You know, there's staff everywhere. Even if we're in port, you know, no one's going to let a child off by themselves. So it was a safe environment, and he'd be like, can I go to that restaurant on my own? And I'm like, yeah, go on. And he booked in, and he got to know all the waiters. So they gave him a time. And even when I went and had a little secret look in, the waiters would say, it's in table number 74, whatever it was. I'm like, brilliant. So I'd sneak in, and he's just got all these people eating out of his hand. He's laughing and joking and chatting to all these adults while he's eating his extra pudding. It was really lovely. You will be told by your social worker or the child social worker whether, it's not safe to do so, and we don't have that contact with parents. But if it is safe to do so, when you can go and sit in the parents' living room with the child, how lovely is that? For a child in our care to see us working as a team, and that we're not viewing their parents as the big bad wolf. That actually we're all working together because we care for you. And we can all have a cup of tea and laugh and joke together. And
because when he was with us, he planted a conker. And we kept it in the pot in the garden, and it grew. And then my husband and the boy planted it we're very lucky where we are, we've got woods behind us, so planted it in the woods. And when we met up with him again, we hadn't seen him for 10 years or so. We were able to show him his conker tree where it had grown. So
that's beautiful.
We're pioneers.
You are.
Yes.
Trailblazers.
When did you launch?
We seem to be setting the thing for first, because we was the first people on a boat to foster as well.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I haven't heard this story.
We had a few little things to do for privacy for the children, but it wasn't too much really.
No.
And the children we did have on the boat loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So different.
Teach them all to swim. It's surprised how many children nowadays don't know how to swim.
We had our launch party recently, and as one of the activities there, we had some birdhouses and some birds to represent Mockingbird. The young people all painted, a particular young lady painted the birdhouse, and then these are various ones that the young people painted, all their little birds, which is cute.
We did have a big pile, but most of the children have taken theirs home now.
It's really nice. So if you star in ones for today, it's really nice.
And show them off because they're really nice.
Beautiful.
Nice and colourful.
And they're just so different as well, aren't they?
Are as well. Which represents children, because they're all so
Exactly.
different.
My son was 6 when we started to do this, and my partner and I couldn't have any more children, so we felt that we had room, to accommodate children and bring, help bring them along. And he'll say, he's 17 now, and he'll say, it's the best thing we did. It gave him such an insight to real life, and for him to appreciate what he's got. And what other people don't have, and to make a difference and be part of it. So rewarding.
The young people that have come to live with you, like you said, are part of your family, and have continued to be part of your family and your ever-growing family. So like being aunties and uncles to
absolutely.
your little ones.
Yeah, exactly. I feel blessed that my kids have got so many aunties and uncles, that they can say my family's so big and they've got all this love around them, so it's lovely.
Yeah, it works both ways, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it really
definitely.
does. And we are lucky with who we've had in our lives and who we still have in our lives, aren't we? We're lucky to share our lives with them as much as they are happy with to spend their time with us.
Do you have any advice, I guess, for people who are thinking about becoming foster carers? You'll see on the board behind Carrie and yourself, so I know there's some advice on there for people we've had in those seats before. What would you say to someone considering becoming a foster carer?
I think be open-minded. Make sure that you're strong enough to wait for the matching to be thought through properly, because there can be some really sad stories out there, and you want to save everyone and you can't fix people. That's one very big thing. Like you just can't fix people. You can help them, you can support them, you can give them a different path to take, but you can't fix them.
Trust the process.
Trust the process. I think be open with your family, and give it a go, because if you can help one person, then brilliant.
Spookily, our first ever supported lodgings, that's where we started first of all, supported lodgings, is our own Lisa, who's with me today, who is now a social worker herself. dare I say it, she was a challenging teenager at the time.
She's somewhere over here.
We'll ask her about that in a minute.
Yeah, we'll get both sides of the story.
If you have to cut that bit, then please do. But, but once again, I couldn't be any prouder of seeing that young girl, 15, to her now, her job, her 2 children, who call us grandma and granddad, it's commendable.
It's interesting, the response we've had about the custody fostering. It can be quite a scary prospect for some carers. We had a forum recently, and one of the foster carers sat there and said, well, 9 times out of 10, they're just really tired. They've got their tail in between their legs and they want a McDonald's.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's that feedback, isn't it? And it's somebody that's done it, that's able to share with other people.
When a young person, maybe as an alternative to custody, so they're not in the police cells kind of overnight, they're not angry with the foster carer that they've rocked up to.
No. It kind of got me, actually, when that carer did say I wouldn't have looked after him. That, again, I think if the word starts going around that actually, these teenagers don't set fire to your homes or burgle you,
They're teenagers.
Yeah, but they might be a bit grumpy, they might use choice words, they might run off, but they'll come back in a couple of hours.
Tell us a little bit about Mood Bears and the story behind them.
So Mood Bears came along by me back in 2019. It probably would have been about May time. I went through a really, really difficult time in my life, and I used to sit up all night because sleeping, I'm sure everybody's been there. I just used to sit up and draw just to pass the time away. So I drew a teddy bear and I coloured it yellow and I put little happy faces on its feet, and I looked at it and I thought, I'd love something like this in my house, just when I'm feeling really low and really down. So I thought, I'm going to find somebody just to make one bear for me. So I managed to find a factory, and it took 3 weeks to come. And when it came in this little tiny cardboard box on my doorstep, I opened it and I stood in my kitchen and I cuddled this bear. And honestly, I felt like someone had taken 20 bricks off each shoulder. I felt so much lighter in myself. And I thought, you know what? If that can do that to me, at the time I was 40 years old, if that could do that to me, I'm sure that could do that to millions of people.
Jo, you mentioned kind of in the beginning you've got your original, you've got that one with you there, and then was it kind of 8 others? So could you tell us a little bit more about the differences of those 8 and maybe some of the poems that come with them?
So this is Happy Bear, and Happy Bear, when you read Happy Bear's poem, I suppose Happy's there just to help you keep that smile on your face. And if you're feeling a bit down and just not your normal self, when you read Happy Bear's poem, it almost brightens your mind again. So then Calm Bear, everyone needs a bit of calm in their life sometimes. And Calm Bear again is there for any of those butterfly feelings, if you're just feeling a bit nervous, a bit anxious. And Calm Bear's poem again just helps you understand that and helps you almost become calm and bring yourself down from those nervous moments. Love Bear, you know what, we all need a bit of love in our lives.
Oh, I love that one.
So we all need a cuddle and we all need to feel loved. And then Hope Bear, which I know you've got, Ray.
Yeah.
So Hope Bear is there with, Hope Bear has got all of the emotions all into one. And when you read Hope Bear's poem is about, if you feel like there's a real storm in your life, even if it's just a day, at the end of that storm, there's always a rainbow to help you feel so much better. So many children that have said, these bears are magic. I've never been involved. I don't even know anybody that's been fostered, but I can only imagine how daunting that feeling must be for any child, not just the child, but the foster family as well, who's taking on a new child that's going to walk through their front door. I can't even imagine what it must be like. It must be the most scariest moment of your life. If these can be within every single foster home, and for a child to think that they can have one to take with them on their journey of foster care or later on into adoption or wherever they may be or go, it's just lovely to think it could be their little best friend almost, that they can sit and talk to and understand the feelings more, and again just help them to be happy and communicate. And I think communication's key for anybody, and that's what I love to see them used all over the world, really. And I know you're doing an amazing job in the Southwest, but to think that we can carry on spreading that through would be great to see it.
Tell me a little bit about what motivated you to do what you do.
Well, when we started the adoption process, sort of started introducing the idea to my daughter gradually, and one of her quite early questions was, why can't sanctuary stay with their birth homes? Instead of just blurting out a response, when she asked me that, I said, actually, that's quite a tricky question. Can I have a think about that and get back to you? And she was only 4.5 at the time. I ended up writing a little story to explain it to her using metaphors. So I came up with ducks. I used that metaphor to explain different ways that sometimes both parents aren't able to look after their children.
Yeah, and staying together and having those relationships that, might look different in different ways. And, as you talk about that magic of story, it can evolve and you can interpret in different ways and it can be used for different purposes. It's great. So you've obviously touched a little bit on one of your books, Holly. Do you want to tell us about the other books in the series?
Yes, so I mentioned Deli Duck, which is all about why some children can't live with their birth families. And I also have a sibling version of that. I actually created this story to help my son to explain the different outcomes from foster care, because some of the children who were in his foster family weren't adopted. In fact, he was the only one who was adopted from the time that he was in that foster family.
People don't realise actually so many steps go into it before anything like this happens. And actually there are so many different avenues it could go, avenues it could take.
That is really important to me. And I really enjoy when I get asked to go into schools and things and read my stories and explain to children that these are all normal types of family. There's just lots of different ways to be a family. And something I do is talk a lot about my future with him. So something that long-term foster carers can do is talk about how you're going to still be in their future. I feel like just saying I'm always going to be your mum doesn't really hit home. I feel like I need to prove it to him. So I will kind of drop it into conversation that I'm planning to be in his future by talking about our futures. And I'll say things like, in about 11 years, you'll be able to learn to drive. And then you'll be able to take me to this place. Nice. I'm really looking forward to teaching you how to do that. And I just kind of talk about things that we're going to do quite far off. Sometimes I even talk about what kind of nursing home I want. Planning on being.
That's really forward planning, yeah.
Do you know what I used to think of the word foster care? I used to think of Pippa from Home and Away.
Yes.
And on Cilla Black, Surprise, Surprise, when she would talk about someone being a foster carer, and then all of a sudden around her, the whole audience surrounding her was her children she'd looked after, and they were there to surprise her.
Yeah.
And I just see myself, being a parent in any capacity for as many kids as I can. And I just want to have like a huge, massive Christmas dinner table with as many of the kids I've had and their kids. I've always tried to stay positive and talk positive about family, how they're made up. I was married to a man and I adopted a child. So that's the complete different to the ideal family and sort of perfect world. And I think a lot more things in social media now, films, TV, there's a lot more showing youngsters how families are made up. They might have 2 mums, they could have 3 mums, they could have anything.
Yeah. Blended families, isn't it? Like there is no such typical family anymore. And it's about the blending of and having as many cheerleaders in that child's life as possible.
So Chris, tell us a little bit more about the purpose behind this group then, and then what we're trying to get out of it.
I think it's just, fostering can be really stressful, can't it? And there's lots of challenges within that. And so I guess if you can bring a group of foster carers together, it allows them to decompress a little bit naturally and perhaps share experiences.
And we talked a little bit about, just before the filming started, actually, about your preconceptions of foster carers and what that meant.
Yeah, I had this preconception that to be a foster parent, you had to be like of an Oxbridge standard. So you had to be a certain level and education and stuff like that. And I went into it and ended up with this lot and realised that we're anything but, aren't we? We're just normal people just trying to help young people.
What's one of the things that this group's given you then?
When we sit around have a meal, quite often Chris will come up with a couple of questions which are thought-provoking, and that just gets your mind active. And sometimes you can put strategies in place, just help support somebody who's going through something at that particular time.
The other thing I think Chris is very good at is I've found that after the meetings, you get a follow-up. If there's anything you want to discuss afterwards, he's always getting in touch to sort of make sure everyone's happy with everything.
I feel a bit awkward actually, because the group works because of you gentlemen actually.
You understand us, Chris. You understand what we want, and that's what makes it work. As a male carer, you've got to have a sympathetic employer a little bit of flexibility. If you've got a rigid job where you've got to be there 8 till 5 and you can't leave your desk, you may struggle because there's times where you need to be pulled away or meetings crop up. There's training courses.
And actually that fostering friendly employer scheme is something that we're looking at quite a lot.
Yeah, and it's happening a lot more as it's in the press. A lot more employers are becoming more flexible. And alongside that, there are other flexible options when fostering. We talk about the different types of fostering and how that fits in with people's lifestyles.